may tell from my accent that I actually don't live in this country, although I seem to spend a huge amount of time over here. My education is that I did a chemistry degree at Oxford University, and then I actually joined in 1981 my grandfather's company, who, because we've been doing this a long time, it's actually our 100th birthday this year. So, thinking perhaps again just focusing on helmets, but perhaps some of the issues that we have to deal with, because I think sometimes people don't think that manufacturers are out there having to battle with the problems of getting people to wear helmets day in, day out, because if we don't get people to wear helmets, do you know what? We don't have a paycheck at the end. So we actually are there trying to talk to people. And sometimes it's starting off by, why are we interested in safety? Why is it, why should we be interested in safety? Now, this is something that's actually Google Answers, that's actually published. And you can see there's a girl that's actually a horse rider, in fact an eventer, who's desperate for statistics. And we all have said how difficult it is to find the numbers, because her dad thinks that riding a horse is too dangerous. And here there were some answers by a Google researcher, but here you can get contribution by other people. And another dad went on the site and said, I used to worry like hell about my two daughters, who fortunately only suffered collarbone injuries. It's a very dangerous sport, as horses can be very unpredictable. On behalf of your dad, please take up something less dangerous. Yeah? So, here we are, we're talking about safety rules. I think everybody who's involved in the industry wants new people to come into the sport, to have the benefits. I mean, the number of therapeutic programs that are run that involve horses. I mean, we've got people coming back from the Afghan war down in near Augusta who are actually being helped to deal with post-traumatic stress because of being involved in horses. And if horses are given the name that they are dangerous and they kill people, those sort of programs can go away. I mean, in the UK, we actually had the BBC, right, on their breakfast news announce to Britain that horse riding was the biggest sporting killer of women and children. Right? It doesn't get people to encourage their daughters to take up the sport. So when we are thinking, now when we actually are talking about a horse, and obviously people say, but it's my own personal responsibility, right? If I decide to wear a helmet, I am taking personal responsibility about my own health. Unfortunately, when you ride a horse and you have an accident, you are part of the statistics, whether you like it or not. You cannot opt out. So maybe this could be an option for them, that we create something that doesn't involve horse, because then that won't affect parents actually encouraging their children to go in. Okay. Thinking about statistics, these are actually come from the any national surveillance statistics, and we can see here these are people that turn up at emergency rooms, right, actually saying they were involved in equestrian sport. And we can see here, fortunately at the moment I didn't have access to 2009 data, but we can see 2008 we got 73,000 people turning up at ER rooms. And of course, we always think about the youngsters, don't we? They're the people that we need to protect. But look at the figures. It's the people, you know, it's the 45 to 64s, accounting for 26.5% of people turning up at ER rooms. Is that because they think that they've got enough experience that they don't need protection? Is it because they've ridden the horses? In fact, Australia did a research, and they actually came out across sports, long-term recovery from sports, and they identified that the problem we have with the horse riding sport is that people continue for much longer than they do in other sports. So they said we need a special program for the over 45s, because people who ride over 45 and have an injury take an incredible length of time to recover. And they felt that there was a special education program that should be done. And that was looking at all sports and coming out of Australia. So here we are, we're talking about helmets work, right? We've had all these helmet rules come in. And so this is a little bit, so we can obviously expect that head injuries will reduce. Okay, so we can see 97 to 2001, you know, lots of people wearing STM approved helmets. 19% of people turning up at ER room. 2008, we got 21.5%. So that's kind of when we're thinking about being proponents, we kind of think, look at the stats and we say, well, what's going wrong? Now, obviously, one of the things that is happening is that people are much more aware about head injury and are more likely to be sent to, you know, we've talked about concussion and certainly we're getting a lot of things. But also looking at the concussion data, essentially it does kind of support Dave Houstead's thing that helmets are not necessarily doing a lot in that area. But we do know from studies, there was one, the Journal of Trauma in '97, the University of Kentucky, you know, 80% of people were not wearing helmets, 8% head injuries, 17% died. And I think if you talk to any neurosurgeon, you know, the people that turn up in their consulting rooms or their surgeries tend to be people who are not wearing helmets or helmets that don't fit. I mean, there is some interesting data from England where they looked at 2 studies going into a hospital and they saw a drop for people going from a 60% helmet wearing to a 90% helmet wearing, of a drop from 16% to 5% on that sample. We look at horse racing and we look at, this is Ireland and France. In fact, we can see where they do tend to wear a level of protective helmet. We can see actually that concussion is their major problem. I mean, in 7 years in Ireland, only 1 person died. But huge numbers of concussion. So therefore, that's something that they're having to sport. So we know that wearing a helmet will, from the stats, will actually save lives. And I think that's the key thing. And I think that's almost what David O'Connor was mentioning is, today we're doing a helmet symposium, which obviously is trying to gird us manufacturers into looking at what should the future be. But the thing is, we've actually solved the biggest problem already. We solved it many, many years ago, which is wear a helmet, you will not have a serious fatal